Damn, she's watching anime. Fuck. I want to watch it too. All right. Hello. This is Memory Bank. This is a podcast. If you're new, this is a podcast where both our guests and I share personal memories about stories or anything that relates to the topic that we're going to be talking about. Joining me today is, once again, Devin, my good friend, my good pal, and from the north, right, where they sell maple syrup a lot, is my good old friend Brian joining us today for the first time. Thank you. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty well. Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Eddie. I'm excited to dive in.
Sweet. All right. So for those of you who are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and quick announcement before I keep going. This will be on This podcast will be on Spotify and iTunes soon.
Nice.
I just need to work out the kinks. So definitely, I will keep you all posted on the Instagram and Snapchat. So follow me there. It'll be in the descriptions below. But yeah, definitely asking people about what they want to see more of the podcast. I'm going to now try and focus in a little bit more on that. So with that being said, funny stories, eh? Funny stories. Let's start out with some fears. Since I did say we're going to be talking about fears, let's get into it. So irrational fears are something that a lot of people love. It really is. Now, Devin, Brian, what are some irrational fears that you guys have or had until you were like, this is completely stupid?
Well, for one, I don't know if I've ever gotten over any of my irrational fears. They seem to stick around for a while. I have like really classic ones. Spiders, like since day one, like just absolutely awful. I think Devin one birthday got me a rubber spider.
He did. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, he sure did. And I opened it and I threw it across the room. We were in my basement and I threw it across the room and it went behind like my dad's like bass speaker and I never saw it again. I think my parents went and dug it out and just like made it disappear because I just like I saw it for I don't even really have a good image of what it was because I saw the 8 legs and then I just sent it.
Yeah, I think it was like a big like rubber tarantula that could definitely just be like, tossed around or anything.
Yeah.
And I saw it
and
probably
I did.
at Target. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, Brian will love this. And then my mom was like, are you sure about that? I was like, yeah, I like it. He'll like it. And then it was completely backfiring. What wasn't a prank? It was just just a misstep.
I just completely dissociated. And I was just like fight or flight.
Yep.
Drowning has been like, this isn't even like a fun kind of like goofy irrational fear. I just like have a really deep deep rooted fear of drowning for some reason, and that didn't really come in until like college, but like nothing happened.
Really?
I didn't like go swimming or I didn't like roll over the boat or something. I just like it just in college I like started thinking about it. I was like, that would be like the worst way to go.
Really?
And like open water is freaky, and yeah, that's those ones land.
I can agree with you there. Deep sea diving is scary.
Deep sea is gnarly. Like if you're underwater and then there's a ceiling above you,
that's
like
horrible.
No way.
Yeah, no chance.
No chance. No chance.
Something to do with water. One of my irrational fears is when I was a kid, there was this little storybook where this kid was showering with a shark. One of the big irrational fears I had growing up was whenever I put the temperature of the water to cold, I would always picture something popping out of the shower head, like a shark or something, and just come eat me. Like every time I close my eyes in the cold water, I'd be like, oh shit, something's gonna eat me.
Interesting.
It's just cold water though. Hot water is fine.
Hot water is fine. I'm just like, this is nice. This is relaxing.
So, but my question is the shark like coming out of one hole in the shower head, or is it doing the Play-Doh thing, how it comes out all of the holes,
It kind
or
of
is it
comes
just
together.
like bursting through side of the wall?
Bursting through side of the wall, like literally.
Okay, so
I'm in
whole
my
ass shark.
mind like,
Okay,
shit.
It's like a Doritos
Something's gonna
commercial.
happen.
exactly.
Back to spiders. I
Uh-huh.
will never visit Australia because of the spiders. Just why the fuck are they that big?
They're big.
Like which ones? Like,
why?
because
Like the
there's
bird
plenty of big
spider.
ones. Yeah, bird-eating spider. The huntsman gets
Why?
pretty big. Golden orb weaver is pretty big.
Jesus.
Um,
Devin's a brute. So Devin, you're not
Yeah.
anti-spider, right? You're good on
no,
spiders.
I'm fine with spiders.
What about snakes? Because I feel like they're
Also fine with snakes.
Wow,
Yeah.
you're evolved.
I mean, if it's like I'm not gonna like, ooh, a poisonous snake. Let me like get close and take a picture. But if it's like a garter snake or whatever, like I know
Sure.
it doesn't pose a threat to me. Oh yeah, I'll pick it up. Like I think they're super cool. One of my friends in college, she kept like a sand snake in her dorm room.
Are those like the orange?
Corn snake.
Yeah, they're like kind of
they're
red
like,
and
yeah, they can kind of
I'm thinking
change.
something.
I think there's multiple colors, but yeah, this one was like definitely like a very beige, like nude color. Super cool snake. Yeah,
Sick.
just great time. I
So-
think mainly my irrational fears are just like me inside my own head too much. I mean, also going like to the bathroom. There's usually when you're at the sink at a bathroom, there's usually
afraid
a
to go-
vent by your toes, like like a heating vent or whatever.
Are you talking about like
Uh-huh.
is this like a residential bathroom or like a restaurant?
Like a
bathroom?
house. No, like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
in your house.
Right.
And
There's like a
usually,
little
you know,
radiator grate.
radiator or like heating vent near your toes. And then the house I grew up in, like the one under the sink didn't have like a grate on it because it was kind of like, vertical. So it was just kind of a hole that goes to the vents. And for some reason, I grew up being like, man, as soon as I step in front of that and start washing my hands, there's some, not even like an arm is instantly going to grab me, but there is like a maze of like hundreds and hundreds of yards of vent that like something at the end of it is like super fucking fast. And as soon as I start turning on the water, it's chasing it's going through the maze, trying to find its way to me. And I'm like, I gotta go. And then as soon as I pop out of the bathroom, it goes back to the start, and then it's got to try.
God.
So you got like a time limit. Well, that's like the classic. That's the classic fear of like, which I still get sometimes even now. Like you've turned off all the lights. I mean, it doesn't happen in my apartment because I have no stairs. But like you're at home, you turn off all the lights. You're downstairs in the basement. You're going upstairs to go to bed, and you like take 2 steps, and you're like, I gotta book it. Because someone's right behind me and they got a knife and they're gonna get me. And once I get to the top, they're just gonna be like, all right. They're gonna leave you alone.
You did what you had to do. Okay, so is that a fear of the dark or is that something else?
That's a good question. I've always assumed that it was a fear of the dark or like fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown,
like,
yeah, right.
You can't see, like you can't see, so you don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I get that a lot. Yeah, I feel like somebody's following me or something like that. Especially, I mean, the apartment complex that I live in is like very labyrinthian in the hallways. It's very easy to get lost. Luckily, I live close to the front, so it's easy to get to. But definitely, like a couple of times, my regular laundry room was like out of commission, so I had to go to a different one. And it's like you go downstairs, you go upstairs, and you're like, I have no idea where I am, and that definitely, yeah, mazes, I guess, are freaky as well.
So with like the dark and the unknown, I mean, we're all 23, but when was the last time you checked under your bed just to just to be safe,
Well, I don't know if I've ever really taken to checking under my bed because when I was a kid, I had a trundle bed. So my bed was like solid going straight down into the ground. So people couldn't get under there. So I guess I never really developed that fear. But I'll check in I'll check in closets.
Yeah.
I like check closets out. Yeah.
For me, I never checked under the beds. It's more whenever I turn the lights off in my room, I just immediately jump on my bed because I had that fear of like something's gonna come under and just grab me. I don't know. I would never check under the bed unless, of course, there was something that I needed to grab. But whenever it's nighttime, I would always turn off the lights and not look at the ground. I just look at the bed and be like, "That's a safe haven. You gotta get there now, or else something's gonna grab you. Fucking get under the sheets."
Exactly.
Like,
As
fucking
soon
do
as you have a sheet
something.
over, that's bulletproof. That'll block anything.
I know.
Yeah. It's just like it's a safe zone, you know. No, I think only obviously the little vent goblin that's trying to get my toes, I kind of grew out of. But I think the most current one that like I always have a fear, because what is it? It's that thing in your brain, like the imp of
the perverse.
Imp of the perverse, because that's like you're next to a cliff, you're like, what if I just jumped off?
Oh,
you know,
well,
right?
okay, no,
what is it? That's Call of the Void.
Yeah.
Okay, so my irrational fear is that one day my brain is going to listen to the Call of the Void.
Sure.
Oh, that?
Yeah. Okay. So you're like, even when you don't get a trigger, like a Call of the Void trigger, you're just sitting kind of normally, like nothing bad is happening, and you're just like, what if one day this happens? Is that what you're saying?
It's more so it's like after I get the trigger, and then for a split second, my brain is like, shut the hell up.
Just
like, stop
that.
that. No, just stop that. Like, but then the next thought after my brain telling me like, don't do that. Then the next thought I have is like, what if one day my brain tells me to do it? Exactly. So I don't know if it's just like a repeating Call of the Void, but like I definitely, one of my irrational fears is that one day my brain is going to listen to the Call of the Void.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I totally get that. I don't know. I've been like, sometimes that'll happen to me where like I'll recall instances where I had like a Call of the Void moment, like a month later.
Yeah.
Like, I was like walking over a bridge and I was like looking down. I was like, I could do it. I was like, what the fuck? And then I'll be like at work a month later and I'm just like, like I'll like get like a physical reaction. It's like, how could I have possibly thought that was like a okay thing to think about?
I think I've only listened to that voice once, and that was like back in like elementary school. Because I have you guys ever like put your finger in a sharpener?
Oh, one of the hand pencil sharpeners? No.
Yeah.
I've like done it with my pinky, but I haven't twisted, obviously. Because
I twisted.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, I was like, I wonder what would happen, because like my finger's small enough where it won't be like it'll cut into it. But then I guess I pushed a little too hard. So and my whole entire fingernail just popped off. I was like, oh, so that's what happens. So that's the last time I ever listened to that voice.
Yeah, that's bad vibes. That's bad vibes.
That's
there's a lot of dangerous things in the classroom, in the elementary school classroom, that like you think would be a little bit more managed around kids that like don't know what these things are. Famously, there's a story at Devin and my elementary school where I
think I know what story. Is it the Robin Hood story?
I don't know if I
the thumbtack and the
Robin Hood.
No.
Oh,
it's not.
Okay. No, continue. Yeah.
It's the mistaken eraser story.
Oh yes, yeah.
You know
that
one.
Famous one. I do.
So Eddie, you know those big like seesaw paper cutters?
Yes.
So a kid was chopping up his paper with one of those paper cutters. He was like, whatever, wasn't looking right, and chopped like his thumb off.
Oh Lord.
Or just not where it got the nail, but like the the bit that's like right here before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so lops it off and is just kind of like in shock, doesn't really know. And this might be like a victim of distortion from a bunch of kids telling the story over and over. But the story that I heard was that then the teacher goes over and sees the thumb on the table, like the chopped off, the dismembered part of the thumb, picks it up and goes, "Whose eraser is this?"
Yes.
Which is, funny for us, not for the kid. I mean, I don't know.
no,
Hopefully
no,
he
no.
hopefully he could stem cell it back or something like that.
He's young
Yeah,
enough. He can grow
because
back.
the famous like
Another
thumbtack
Robin Hood
and
story.
Robin Hood story was
yes, I do
that
know
there
this.
was a substitute teacher, and then one of the kids was just like playing around with a rubber band and a push pin, and was like, oh, like I don't think this would fire or anything. It was kind of just like aiming it around the place, not directly at anyone. And then he let it go, and it really just ripped it, and then stuck in the substitute's forehead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely remember
that one. That one made its way around for sure. I don't know if that teacher now has a rational fear of thumbtacks
or children.
My kids.
Or children. That's probably a better case. If you're a substitute teacher in Federal Way, Washington, I'm sure you have a fear of children now.
Yeah, not irrational actually.
No, very rational.
No, that is totally rational at that point. What the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like it's a
anyone.
very, very common fear because it's like, oh man, like if I fail, like what do I do, like next, or or whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think fear of failure is like the biggest one for me. And what I found is, which is the worst, which is kind of just like the like, it's like the human mind is so evil because it changes what our idea of failure is. It's like I'm living in like a great 1-bedroom apartment. I'm like, I got a job, I'm paying rent. It's like,
right.
My dream is to make movies. I'm planning to make a short film right now. It's like I have all these things going on, but I'm still like, oh, but what if I fail? Like, what if I down the road, like everything upends and it goes even worse? And so it is this kind of thing where it's like, up until I'm like, hopefully whatever, like 94 on my deathbed reflecting, I won't fully know if I've succeeded or failed yet.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, which is maybe kind of heady and also very like counterproductive, because it's like if you spend all your time thinking about that, you're not going to actually do it. But
I totally agree though.
But yeah, it's like you never really know. And I also have this fear, which is like ridiculous, that I'll get the thing that I think I want, like I'll achieve the thing that I think I want,
and then say what next.
Well, right, exactly. It's like, okay, well, it's like, what do I do now? It's like I just did it.
Same here.
Or it's like doing that and like feeling good and then not knowing what to do next, or doing it and not feeling the way that you thought you were going to feel, which is historically has been my experience.
Oh yeah. And then right after that, emptiness starts settling in, and then just you're like, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, you have
and then loneliness starts kicking in, because that's one of my biggest fears, to be alone. Just I don't know why, but ever since I left high school, just that lonely feeling just kept sinking in. I was like, I don't know what to do with this, because like you guys know me, I'm a very extroverted person where I'll do what I want to do. Now, like you saw me drink, I fucking just went at it and threw up at the fucking bush. That shit was hilarious, but fucking I am a person that enjoys company, and definitely the biggest fear I have right now is just what happens if that all goes? What happens if for some reason I say something and just all of that is thrown out the window? Like, that's one of my biggest fears.
Right.
And that goes into the failure thing too. It's like, if I fail this, I know something like this could happen. And just the mind is so fucked up. It'll keep spiraling down further and further, and then you hit depression. Like a fucking needle. It sucks.
So I mean, I guess with the fear of like being alone or fear of loneliness, is it more so of like the like relationship loneliness, being alone, or more like your pursuits in life, like the things you're working towards, you don't want to like work towards them, achieve them, and then just be like, oh, I left everyone behind? Like what do they differ at all? I'm not familiar.
A little bit. A little
Okay.
bit. For me, success isn't really part of the equation. Because the thing is, even if I am successful, I want to be able to share that success with others.
Yep.
And that fear of, because I am successful, what if people look at me differently? Or what if people think I'm a different person or someone else completely? Because you know the saying of how people are like, money changes people or fame changes a person.
Yeah.
Like at, to a certain point, I say it is true, but also that person is still there. It's just not as relevant to them right now.
Right.
So definitely that fear of, even if I do get what I want in the long term, what happens if the people look at me differently for the choices I've made to make those decisions, to get that job or to get that position? Like, how will people think of me? And just, my fear is just being lonely and not being able to share that fame and fortune or that glory that I seek.
Sure.
Not even that, just the fear of being left out completely from social life. Because definitely, even with my family, I talk a lot. Like, I can talk for hours and hours, and sure, I'll get bored, but if they're having fun, fuck it, I'm having fun.
Yep.
That's just how I am as a person. And just that fear of not being able to succeed and not being able to entertain, especially the loved ones in my life, that's one of my biggest fears. Just, fuck, what if? Like, oh, some deep shit right here.
Yeah, no, I definitely, Eddie, you kind of like touched on it briefly, but definitely like, kind of, I mean, we've been talking about this in different forms already, but kind of this idea of like not having anybody to leave anything to is something that is like concerning to me, especially when you like, when you kind of think about like orienting yourself to be successful in your career. Oftentimes there is like this door that you can see, you can kind of look down this path that's like, it's like, if I sacrificed everything else, like gave up everything else and like went kind of like whole hog into whatever this is that I've convinced myself that I want to achieve, then it's like, I can't achieve it. I probably can't, who knows? But it's like, if you dedicate 100% of your time, 100% of your energy, 100% of your brain power to doing whatever this is that you've decided is like success to you, then it's like, you get to the end and it's like, there's nobody else around you because you've like sacrificed all of those like quality relationships. And that's something that like stresses me out, which is weird because I'm conscious of it. So it's like, I know that I'm not going to, I know that I'm not going to do that. But there's something like that. There's like kind of this fear that like, do I have to decide between like a nice, healthy, not plain, but like a nice, healthy, engaging social life, romantic life, et cetera, et cetera. Like, does that come at the cost of like not getting to achieve what I want, or am I just being insane? You know?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the tech school or even like medical school, like all the Asian friends that I have, they've sacrificed all of that to pursue that dream. And honestly, for me, it's like, sure, yeah, but you're missing out on all this other stuff. And just that's also what also sets in that fear of loneliness. Like sure, I got what I want. I got that. But that's only 10% of my entire wish list. That's only 10%. Like, I could care less about the job. I could care less about the money. As long as I have people that I can enjoy myself with, even in that company or in that shitty job or with that shitty paycheck, I still want people to enjoy that shitty paycheck with. During my Saturdays, I would go to SAT training to study for the SATs. And I remember just going to these things and then later on going to like a football game with the band and just remembering, oh shit, I have to do this later on, and not be able to enjoy myself fully.
Right.
Because like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but during high school, like junior year and senior year was when I was the most reckless and the most outgoing I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Just because at that point I came to the conclusion of what the hell is college for then? Like if I am wasting 50% of my time on homework and prepping for something that I know college will look at only once and employers are just going to be like, oh yeah, he did well. Why put this much effort into something and not get the full amount back? And that's also another fear. It's just like, what if I put in all this effort? What if I put in all this effort and I don't get much back?
Right.
It's just
I think it has to do, kind of going back to what we were talking about, like, although the three of us might not like have a fear of death, but the whole thing of like people that decide to sacrifice their, first like 20, 25 years to really dive into this one thing and like, set themselves up, it adds to that fear of like, dying early, because the whole thought, I think, with a lot of people who like, study nonstop, try to get the best schools, like best jobs and everything, is like they sacrifice that many years by the time they're 25, and then like, okay, perfect. Now I have the next, 60 plus years to then kind of bask in the sacrifices that I made. And I think that will also then like, wow, what if I just spent these 25 years and I die in the next 10 years? Then what was it worth it for?
Big time.
So I think it definitely, there's both parts there where you want to be able to enjoy life during every step, because you don't know what like the next day holds, but people will definitely, put it all in, like growing up in the hopes and thought that they will then be able to use that to enjoy their life much more for the remainder of their life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just thinking about the future, that's also a big fear. Like the what if questions always pop up in my mind. Especially in any decision I make. Like even making a decision like a $10 payment, I'm like, what if I don't spend that? Well, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like how badly will this $10 affect my life? Because you see all those stories, or the butterfly effect, where I don't know if you guys read the story from Ray Bradbury, where they go back in time to kill a dinosaur.
No, I haven't read that one.
No? Well, the story is two hunters go back in time to kill a dinosaur. The dinosaur will no matter what will die because a tree will hit it and it won't affect the timeline at all.
Yeah.
But during the hunt, they mess something up, they missed a shot, and they fall off the track. That's also something else. They have to keep on the track that's made for them, or else they will deviate from the timeline.
Yep.
So because of the incident that happened where the lightning did strike, but didn't kill the dinosaur, but the bullet did. But that scare in that one hunter made him run off or fall off the tracks and step on a butterfly, creating the butterfly effect, where they came back to their time and the language that they knew was all different. Everything changed just from that one step. So going back to what I was thinking, what happens if I don't spend this $10? How will this change my life?
Right.
Which is like valid. I get that, because I've had the same thing. If anything, it's like I've been working on not doing that, because it can be pretty destructive. But really it's like, or like, oh, there's that episode of, this is a weird reference. There's an episode of Community where they like roll a dice to make a decision.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
And then it's like, yep, in their apartment, they're like, oh, but the other timeline rolled a 6.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
Right.
like all the, and then they're just like, okay, there's 6 different timelines now. We just opened up this portal, which is
Yep.
great for narratives. It's great for TV. Like
Mhm.
it's interesting and engaging and like
Yeah.
it's a cool form. It's not how reality works at all.
No.
It's like you can only make, there's only one decision to make. Or it's like if you make a decision between 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many options, the one that you make is the one that you made. And
Yep.
that's going to be reality from there on. And so if you just stand there and you don't make that decision, you're still making a decision, and your decision, whatever, and like the great whoever is commanding all of us and controlling all of this, is just like, great, that's just no decision. And you're just wasting your time sitting around being like, okay, but what if I did what? And it's just like, I don't know. What I've found in like the last year or so is like, it's not worth dwelling on stuff like that. It's like, and I try to, especially like with purchases, it's always like, it's like, I don't know, is it something that you want? Is it something that like you're actually going to use? Stuff like that. I mean, it's like, and like, to put it simply, it's like being an adult. It's like, it's like in like kind of like a sucky way. It's like, that's like growing up, being responsible, like, you know, like thinking through your decisions before doing them. But
Definitely.
but at the same time, I think like that logic can also apply to taking risks. You know, it's like, I don't think that every decision should be, I'm not going to do this because something potentially slightly bad might happen as a result. You shouldn't blow all your money. You shouldn't be spending $10 every second just on random stuff. But yeah, I think that's what I found, especially recently, is like, and I think especially coming out of COVID, where it's like we didn't have a lot of decisions that we can make in terms of like where we go and what we do, and you know, unique experiences and all that stuff. Yeah, I've definitely learned to be a little bit more kind of laissez-faire with my decisions, say yes more, like not be as conservative with these things.
And
you know, that, I mean, that's personally like how I've kind of developed.
And I think that goes into the fear of, well, I feel like I have a fear of being unprepared for something. And it doesn't have to be a certain thing, but it's like, I mean, the whole classic example of like, oh, I've got a 2-day trip, let me pack 6 pairs of underwear. Because it's like, what if I just shit myself like all the time? Like I know that's not going to happen, but like, but what if?
What if?
And I think it's a very similar way of like how I spend and save money. Because I feel like a lot of the time I like just try to save more and more money. Well, it's like, well, yeah, like, you know, I could get hit by a tree, I could break a leg, I would need to pay this large sum of money for something that's very unlikely to happen. But let me just keep saving money in case something does, which like has definitely, I think, you know, gift and a curse. It's helped me out in the long run because I feel like I'm pretty good at saving money now. And I've gotten better at like, oh, like this is not, you know, I can spend my money on this. This is fine. Like, you know, I need this little boost of whatever dopamine hit from buying whatever I do.
Yeah. Just a lot of people hesitate, and I don't see the point in hesitating, because I mean, growing up, I hesitate a lot in making some of the decisions that I've made. And just like how Brian and Devin both say, you just grow the fuck up. You become an adult. Just fucking deal with the consequences, but understand that there will be consequences to some choices you have. And going back to the risk thing, just if you know it's a risk and you know you're going to lose a lot, or if you know you're going to benefit from it, why are you not doing it? And is that fear of uncertainty that also kicks in, of what if something bad happens? What if something I didn't think of happens? And you see this scenario in a lot of action films or like thriller films, like what if, and it's always that what if scenario that happens that you're thinking happens. Like I can't remember a specific scene with that kind of scenario, but I don't know, but the the red rum, that part always comes into mind.
In the Shining.
Yeah,
yeah.
red rum, and then you look at the mirror. It's like, oh no shit, murder.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess I think I get what you're trying to get at, where it's like somebody, I don't know, it's like you make something like a seemingly innocuous decision to like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm just gonna run out. I'm gonna run out for 5 minutes to get the mail,
Nothing
and I'm gonna leave
bad's
the
gonna
door
happen.
unlocked. I'm gonna leave the door unlocked just because I'm in and out, and they come back in and they get murdered, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
This is actually something that I was really thinking about like a lot, like a couple of days ago, was movies. I love movies, obviously.
Yep.
I like to make them. They're very fun. But movies are stories. They're narratives. Same with, it's like video games are narratives. Books are narratives, like, you know, plays, whatever. It's and that's like a big part of our culture is telling stories. But stories, like in you know, like they have structure of like beginning, middle, end, and they have setups and payoffs, and they have characters, and everything has to resolve because they have to eventually end. And I've definitely found recently, which I think contributes to my fear of like, I need to have everything good by the time I die, and I want to like be successful, and et cetera, et cetera. We like to orient our lives around like what we consume, which is stories. I mean, you can turn on a movie that's 2 hours long and you watch a character's entire life, like birth to death, you know?
True.
And so it kind of starts to convince us that it's like these things, these like dramatic things happen all the time in life, which they don't.
No.
I mean, there's no logic in life the same way that there's logic in film. Like Aaron Sorkin, who's not my favorite writer, says this thing that like, but I respect him. He's very good. He says this thing that's like, characters aren't people. They talk like us and they look like us and they sound like us, but they're not people. And dialogue isn't talking, it's dialogue. It's like kind of, it's like music and lyrics, it's song and dance.
Wow.
Which is something that's hard to get, especially now, because I mean, acting has become much more, and movies have become much more realistic.
Yep. A lot less theater as they all started.
Exactly. I mean, you go back and watch even like a 60s or 70s movie now, but especially like a Hollywood, like 40s Hollywood movie,
right?
or
Like
something.
Casablanca.
Exactly, something like Singing in the Rain, something like that. It's like it's very clear that it's like these people are performing their lines and they're delivering them and blah blah blah. But now it's like, I mean, it's, you know, you go to the movie and you watch an A24 movie and it's this, it's an intimate story about like a kid who is on the run and blah blah blah, and you're like, wow, it's so real, and oh, they used real people, not like trained actors, and you know, and it's like everything feels almost like a documentary now, and you're like, this is so close to my life, but they're still doing these manipulative things to make it feel like a narrative. And it gets into your brain. I mean, or it gets into my brain because I watch so many movies, and I'm like, my life has to be like this. My life has to have, there has to be this moment, the midpoint moment where like, you know, I get the phone call from the guy and I'm like, no way, and I freak out.
My life changes forever.
My life changes forever in like one afternoon, and it happens to people, but it also doesn't. And also, I mean, there's so many more hours in the day where that doesn't happen, and it's like not. It can be really like anxiety inducing and fear inducing because you're just sitting around like waiting for it to happen. And like not taking agency in your life, I guess. I don't know. It's like, it's a big rabbit hole to go down, but that's something that's been on my mind for a while.
Oh, definitely. We went down the rabbit hole for a while now. Anything you guys want to say to conclude, or anything you guys want to say to wrap things up real quick? Or I
mean, I feel pretty good. I had a great time. I don't know if I have any closing statements. This is a good time. I had a great time, Ed. Thanks.
I mean, hey, thanks for joining. This was a fun podcast. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was, holy shit. But yeah, that's all the time we have today. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Devin, for actually joining us today to this third podcast episode of Memory Bank. Whew. Now I just need to edit this.
Yeah, thanks for having
But yeah,
us.
no, thank you guys. Hopefully we can do this again sometime later. We will schedule this later on, but join us for the next podcast that's going to come out next Sunday. It's going to be every Sunday at like 4 p.m. Hopefully the rendering actually works this time, because holy shit. Because I remember uploading the 2-hour film. I was like, I know this is not going to take a whole day. This is going to take 2 whole days. And just, I wake up the next morning, it's like 36%.
Man.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, hopefully this one doesn't take that long. I will have it up as soon as I can. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. Hopefully we can game sometime soon. Fucking hell. This is the 3rd podcast. How do I not have an outro? Subscribe, comment, like, and that's the show. Have a good one, you guys.
Right on.
Right on.